A word of advice? Don't skip 9. Why? Because his short tenure is the best, most important series of NuWho. Just before the 40th anniversary of Doctor Who back in 2003, one Russell T Davies was handed the keys to one of the toughest challenges ever to grace the world of television, reviving a cult science fiction program that's made one hell of a mark on British culture. Its loyal fanbase had been waiting since the 1996 TV movie, or even longer if they didn't think much of it, to get a proper taste of their beloved Time Lord romping around on intergalactic adventures again. Expectations were astronomical. The Curse of Fatal Death and Scream of the Schalke were enough to tide people over, but it wasn't quite as thirst-quenching as the knowledge of Christopher Eccleston, a surprise choice to take on the mantle of the Doctor, taking the controls when Series 1 of Doctor Who aired in spring 2005. Billie Piper joined his companion Rose Tyler, and the rest, as they say, was history. Eccleston only stuck around for one series, however, but he made quite the impact as 9. On the record, he's my Doctor. My love affair for the show started with him, and while we have come close since, no one has toppled the crown from Eccleston's head for me. It's great to see his relationship with the franchise improve in recent years, but I'm not convinced he'll rock up again on screen. If he does, no, I'll be a blubbering wreck. But back to the point, what exactly made Series 1 so great? Why would I make such a bold claim that I'm sure not many would agree with? Well, even though he knew what he was in for, the overwhelming amount of pressure, canonical questions and fan expectations didn't appear to even slightly faze Russell T Davies off his master plan. Series 1 was an incredible feat of balance. So much time was spent in the unknown. Fans were left in the dark as to what exactly happened after Paul McGann chewed off Grace's face in the 1996 TV movie. Next thing we know, 9 is running around and blowing up buildings, getting attacked by plastic and picking up blonde women. Also, out of the blue, he's the only one left, the last of the Time Lords. The mysterious Time War took place and the Doctor is a broken man, bereft of happiness beyond that of shielding his true feelings behind a smile. Still traversing the universe in his blue box, not for the sake of exploration or an escape from his homeworld, he was running from his own actions. While a clear image of the Time War would develop as NuWho progressed, the darkness of that time still lingered throughout Series 1, and it was best shown through Eccleston's performance as the 9th Doctor. The introduction of the character for both new audiences and Rose in episode 1 was borderline perfect, a long single shot punctuated with a metaphorical monologue to amplify this already mysterious incarnation of the character. Following that, in only episode 2, we had the weight of his universal isolation come crashing down when Jabe was prying into his past after discovering his species. Things then really came to a head when the last of the Daleks met the last of the Time Lords. Picking apart episode 6, Dalek Piece by Piece definitely deserves its own video, but the Doctor here really showed his true colours post-Time War. The anger, the fire, the character we thought we knew all this time, though with the shortest fuse we'd ever seen when up against the Daleks. The Doctor was never keen to give them much rope, especially come the climax of the Dalek Civil War, but 9 was giving this fellow Time War escapee precisely nothing. Yet, while he was a broken man, left without a home with a bigger on the inside sack of guilt upon his back, this Doctor still found the time and the strength to eventually make friends, to at least try and move on, to give even the worst of foes a chance, except the Dalek of course. He found solace in Rose Tyler. While completely oblivious to the wider universe around her, she became a truly trustworthy, understanding and strong companion to have alongside him. Through her, he found the time to laugh. He found someone he could confide in about where he was both physically and mentally. There was really no surprise he fell for her, and really no surprise she fell for him. While 10 and Rose's relationship really moved things forward and destroyed us emotionally come Doomsday, it's not as if their chemistry came from nothing. 9 and Rose were a formidable duo, and I'm convinced that if Eccleston had stayed on for Series 2, it would have played out in exactly the same way. Series 1, by design, set up a lot of pins for the future series of NuWho to knock down, leading all the way up to the 50th anniversary in 2013, but it still stands up so well by itself. Think of how the Fantastic Beasts sequel, The Crimes of Grindelwald, simply set up a bunch of narrative threads but did absolutely nothing as a standalone picture. Yeah, Series 1 wasn't that. It may have tentatively loaded narrative baggage onto the seesaw of the audience with the Time War weighing things down on one side, but Series 1 managed to compound this with the inclusion of family drama back on Earth, creating a genuinely fascinating bunch of supporting characters, all further grounding Rose Tyler as, well, not so much a relatable character since she went missing for a year, had to deal with all that fallout and romp around time and space, but one we genuinely felt like we knew. Character drama wasn't exactly absent from the classic series of old, but Rose's introduction and development added a whole new angle to this series of the show, and really questioned the family dynamic when one buggers off to the other side of the universe at the drop of a hat. Appearing in less than half of the episodes of Series 1, Jackie Tyler really made her mark on this dynamic, as did Rose's boyfriend Mickey, who actually appears in fewer episodes than Jackie. Their relationship with the Doctor very much didn't begin well, though they are more understanding and supportive of the character come the 10th Doctor's introduction in the Christmas Invasion. Even if there were entire episodes based around Rose and her family, Aliens of London, World War III, Father's Day and the Parting of the Ways being the prime examples, NuWho was still fundamentally Doctor Who, not 45 minutes of Rose, Jackie, Mickey and the Doctor just having a domestic. Their inclusion, exploration, development and addition of Pete Tyler was seamlessly woven between the aliens, deaths and dancing of the series, perfectly balancing against the baggage of the new Doctor and the unknown of the Time War. And finally, in an overarching sense, the Bad Wolf arc definitely threw something new into the mix. As far as recurring motifs go in NuWho, Bad Wolf was definitely one of the more subtle. As things started to come to a head come Boomtown, the idea of Rose opening up the TARDIS and absorbing the time vortex didn't exactly come straight out of left field. It was played nicely throughout and led to a still heartbreaking conclusion. Losing 9 so soon is still devastating to me. Now, exploring these long-form elements of Series 1 are one thing, but usually discussion revolves around the individual episodes of the show when talking about a series. And Series 1 wasn't entirely perfect. It spent literally all its time on either space stations or on Earth, no new planets for Nine and Rose, but as far as the stories go, I genuinely think it's one of the overall strongest outings in NuWho. Every series has its duds. Series 2 has Love and Monsters and Fear Her, Series 7 has Cold War, Series 12 has arguably the worst of them all, Orphan 55. And while I wouldn't go as far as saying Series 1 was completely perfect episodes wise, while there were definitely iffy moments in Aliens of London, World War III and Boomtown, I don't think any of them dropped the ball as much as those other episodes I mentioned. The Slitheen's silent invasion threw the Doctor, Rose and Harriet Jones, MP for Far Del North, into isolation for a good amount of their battle, changing up the usual dynamic and leaving Jackie and Mickey to fend for themselves, while Boomtown gets far more grief than it really deserves. It's a fascinating character study of both Blofeld, Foch and the Doctor himself. Stakes may have been more hypothetical than tangible, but it holds itself up very high when you look at the episode more so for what it was trying to do. That's something I'm going to dig into in yet another video, so subscribe if you want to see that. Series 1 is such a good place to start. It sounds obvious, I know, but I literally opened this video telling you not to skip 9, like so many people did. It's a series so well crafted, doing enough to keep both new and returning viewers engaged, but not throw so much on the table that it buckles and breaks. It gave us the action, the scares, and the heart the series was known for, as well as reaching new highs in showing just how good a ridiculous premise as pissing around an old police box can be. Dalek and the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances are up there amongst some of the best episodes of Who ever produced. Christopher Eccleston's Ninth Doctor made such an impact on new and returning viewers alike, showcasing a whole new take on the character, but still able to include that twinkle we come to expect from the Time Lord. Rose continued to become one of the most revered companions of the show's entire history, and any time she returned was welcomed with open arms. Come the 50th anniversary, even a sniff of Eccleston's 9 got people excited. Archive footage we'd seen a million times gave us a squeal during the Day of the Doctor, and the slightest glimpse of his face during the War Doctor's regeneration made us shed a collective tear. His return to the franchise via Big Finish was like a dream come true, and to this day, nothing is going to dethrone his run in Series 1 for me. And while that is an opinion, something I have written, something I am gushing about right now, the proof is in the pudding. If Russell T Davies hadn't pushed throughout the 90s and as the millennium turned to bring back the show and did so with such masterfully crafted gusto, if Eccleston and Piper hadn't have put their all into their roles, and if the production team hadn't have made every penny of that pretty piss poor budget count back in 2004, we wouldn't have reached the 60th anniversary this year. We wouldn't have even seen the 50th. We wouldn't have bawled our eyes out come Doomsday, and Doctor Who on Christmas Day may not have become a British tradition. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Series 1, an excellent display of love and respect for the 40 years of Doctor Who before it, but ready to dive headlong into the future and into the meat of the Time War. The BBC greenlit Series 2 because of Episode 1 alone. It's incredibly special to me, and it should be to us all. If it's been a while, go back and watch it again. The nostalgia factor is one thing, but watching something just so good from within the Whoniverse is even better. Thank you all so much for watching this gush about Series 1. Please subscribe if you haven't already and want to see more stuff like this. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.